Joining us now is first-year Brentwood boys basketball coach Troy Crane. And it feels a little odd saying first year because, Troy, you've been around forever. You've just not necessarily been in the
So you just called me
big
old,
chair.
right, Maurice?
Well, hey, I can't call anybody old, so don't worry about that. But I mean, it's not like it's not like this is your first rodeo necessarily. But welcome to the show. We really appreciate you taking some time with us.
Hey, appreciate you having us.
Absolutely. I was talking to Charles Pulliam out at the state wrestling duels on Saturday, Troy. Who's going to win your district? And I know your answer is Brentwood, but I mean, it feels like everybody is so good and everybody's kind of beating up on everybody on any given night, and it's got to be kind of tough to have a feel for who's going to emerge from this thing.
It does. There's only three games left in the regular season, and still that's not going to be answered anytime soon. And it just speaks to the volume of the parity in our league. You know, everybody's got good players. It's one of the most well-coached leagues I've been in. We were joking the other day, me and Coach Bond, as a lot of years, you know, you would really fight and claw for that 1 or 2 seed going in district tournament because that would give you a huge advantage because you could really basically have a cupcake, you know, to punch your ticket, get to the region. This year, there is no benefit to being 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, the only benefit you're going to get if you can be in the top 4 is to get to play at home, but you're going to be in a dogfight no matter who you play.
And it's been that way all season long. I'm trying to grab the standings, but I mean, you guys knocked off a really good Franklin team this past Friday night and took care of them pretty handily, 51-41 at your place. But Franklin's right there in the mix. Nolensville, you guys are 9th in this week's Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Class 4A statewide poll. Franklin is 10th. Nolensville is receiving votes. And, oh, yeah, the defending Class 4A state champion is Independence.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're the ones that don't get enough credit. They have quietly flown under the radar. They've been in the top 3 most of the year. And they're a really talented team. And as long as they got Tylen Lewis on their team, they're going to have a shot any night they play. And Coach Wilkins does a really good job with his group. And but you can just go down the list. I mean, you know, Centennial's really playing well. Ravenwood's playing well. Summit's playing well. You know, Page, you know, they've struggled through the flu probably worse than anybody in our district. But I'm telling you right now, once they get their legs back underneath them, and plus they're hosting the district tournament, they could be a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah, Coach, as you've navigated this schedule, man, you mentioned all those great teams. Night in, night out is a real battle. But then on the other hand, you look up and you blink, and it feels like the district schedule has already evaporated on us. You mentioned just 3 games left. And I guess I'm curious, what have you liked most about what you've accomplished in district play thus far, and what's maybe still out there you do want to work on?
Well, one of the things, it was, you know, no beating around the bush about it. We were kind of, everybody was labeling us as a rebuild year. You know, Daniel Cochran walked out the door, and so did the future Hall of Fame coach Troy Bond walked out the door. So they get stuck with me and then a bunch of sophomores, you know. And but you know, the thing is, these guys have really bought into to working hard in the off season because they knew what type of competition we was going to have night in and night out in our league. And we've changed the style of play on offense. Our guys, you know, used to, you know, we were running 80 man sets to pound it inside to Daniel Cochran every game. And really nobody got guarded outside the 3-point line just because we struggled to shoot the ball. And some guys really took the challenge to work on their 3-point shot in the offseason. And that's where we really changed the dynamic of our offense. Now, we're not shooting the ball well of late, but we come out of the gate pretty strong this year. And, you know, I credit a guy like senior Kevin Spivey, who his guy would be one of the ones that would go double team Daniel last year. And then anytime we got him in the set to where he was above the free throw line, they wouldn't come out and guard him. And now he's shooting around 40% from the 3. So he's really elevated his game. And then just our ability, I think, to shoot the 3 and to be able to stretch that floor to give us some rim attacks when teams do come out and guard us and knock us off that 3-point line. And then you got a guy like Davis Cochran, who's you know, a sophomore, and early on he was the true definition of a Euro big man. He didn't like getting inside that 3-point line very much, but he's really grown into that role of getting down and getting his post touches, and he's starting to get double teams and things like that. And where he's really grown as a player is his ability to throw out of those double teams and find the shooters, like a Jackson McCutcheon, and a Hudson McKnight and a Luke Matthew and Parker Emerson, so those have been really, really big for us down the stretch.
Troy Crane, first-year coach at Brentwood, joining us here on Main Street Sports today on Coach's Corner, presented by Ten Pin Alley. You talk about Davis Cochran, Coach, and he and his brother didn't necessarily have the same game, but it looks like you said he has developed into more of an inside presence for you as the year has progressed. And again, that game last week against Franklin, he and Christian Brown really banged against each other a lot.
Yeah. Well, that was good experience for him. Christian has really brought out the best in him, as a player, because, you look at Christian, just how much his body has changed from year to year. I mean, you can tell how hard he works in the weight room in the off season, and he's going to be a tremendous player. And his best basketball, I'm telling you, is going to be, as he goes on to that next level. He's got a lot of respect for him in his game, and that has really helped, elevate, Davis's game. Davis sees how well you got to take care of your body and work in the weight room. And he did a really good job this offseason. He's still got some work to do. He's still growing. I believe he's grown 2 inches since the season started. He can stand straight up and scratch his kneecap. So that tells you that he's getting pretty tall and rangy there. But nah, he's really grown into that. And he's been Davis has always been a guy that has shot the three really well, even when he was in middle school. And he came in and he did that, but he's really finding out now, really, for him to grow as a player and play at that next level and be a true stretch four that his game really kind of allows him to be. He's going to have to be able to score on some paint touches and things like that. And then, like it or not, teams are, when you're the leading scorer in a team, people are going to game plan for you and they're going to double team you. And he's doing a really, really good job, of passing out of those double teams and then being able to relocate and move without the basketball to find opportunities within our offense to score.
Coach, you talked about Troy Bond walking out the door, retiring after, what will be a Hall of Fame career. As you said, Brentwood advancing to the state quarterfinals last year, finishing up 20-13. What's this adjustment been like for you? I'm always fascinated when assistants slide into head coaching roles. Somebody referred to it to me once as the 18-inch slide from that assistant chair to the head coaching chair. And as you go from making suggestions to making decisions, what's that been like?
Well, Coach Bond and I, for those you don't know, he and I were together for 21 seasons. We really had we're friends outside of basketball, but our relationship and being able to work with one another. He ran the defense and I ran the offense, and just being able to help me grow as a coach. Whenever I would game plan and stuff, he would go run the scout team defense. And he'd be like, Coach, I don't think that might work tonight. He was trying, and a lot of his ability to guard our stuff in practice really helped me grow and also helped our players grow. And then, just having that freedom, I think all these years of being his offensive coordinator, so to speak, it kind of made this next step, in my basketball career a lot easier than probably what it would have been if I hadn't had that experience. And then also too, just his mentorship. I mean, he mentors, me all through the season here. He still is in the building at Brentwood High School, so I lean on him a lot. He still helps me watch film. We do a lot of chalk talk. He'll tell you what you think, whether you want to hear it or not, and that's been really good because it helps me to continue to grow and helps put me in position to help make our team better. So that's been a really, really big asset to have.
Coach, as you kind of navigate the remaining few games and then obviously get into tournament, I love talking to the basketball coaches in particular because we talk about the non-conference schedule and how it's kind of prepared everybody for maybe a postseason run. I don't necessarily know that you guys even have to worry about that in a sense because it feels like getting through this district enough is going to give you guys enough seasoning to maybe see almost anything you're ready for in the postseason, it feels like.
Yeah, our district does well enough about getting you prepared for postseason. So that is true. But, the thing that concerns me the most, is we're undefeated at home in the district, knock on wood. But we going into that Page game, we were 1-3 on the road. So we have not played well on the road. A lot of that has to do with the environment, that our guys have played in. Our first road game of the year was at Centennial, and it's kind of that lull where you're just coming out of football season and people ain't quite in the basketball mode yet. So really the crowd at Centennial was probably a good 50-50. It wasn't that big of an advantage, at that night. But when you started going to Franklin and then you go to Ravenwood, I mean, you couldn't hear yourself thinking there. And it's and our guys on the road, we've really struggled with the live ball turnovers. And when I say live ball turnovers, I mean once we're really the defense is not really forcing them, we're just like we're making bad decisions, throwing the ball out of bounds, or trying to lob the ball into Davis and it hits a cheerleader in the head. Those type deals. Just from the tension. And but so we had 14 turnovers the other night at Page, and that is not going to get it done as we enter in the stretch and down into postseason. So that's got to get cleaned up. So that's been a big point of emphasis, is taking care of the basketball, and then us, being able to win on the road. And so we, we've got, 3 of our last 4 games going into that Page game was on the road. So getting that one Tuesday night really helped our confidence. And then, we didn't shoot the 3 really well. We were 4 of 19 from the 3 that night, but we did a really, really good job of getting the downhill rim attacks, and we got to the free throw line some, and our defense, we played really, really good in the half court defense, so we was able to grind out a win there. So that was good confidence and a good boost going forward, because we do next week we finish up going to Indy on Tuesday, and then we go to Nolensville on Friday. So it's going to be a huge test for us.
And to your point, Coach, at Franklin back in early January, you guys dropped a 13-point decision there, and then you get them by 10 this past week on in the MyTV 30 game. So the road, as Mark Byington is finding out at Vanderbilt in the Southeastern Conference, the road is a little different, and how you handle that makes a lot of difference. Like you said, lost 48-46 down at Summit. But defeated Summit before Christmas, 92-45. So it's a lot of difference.
Yes, it is. And then, we have a lot of sophomores, in our lineup. So that inexperience and stuff, and being able to fight through adversity that you're going to face on the road. Like we at Franklin, we had to play without Kevin Spivey. He was injured, so he didn't even dress for that game. And then Davis picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. So we jumped out early to 11-0 lead. And then they went on a 24-6 run because Davis had to sit the entire second quarter. So, but what I was most proud of in that game, even though we did lose, was able to cut it to 4 with 5:42 to go in the fourth quarter. So our guys scratched and clawed back, but we just ran out of gas, and, Franklin made the plays they had to win. But it just shows you, like, adversity is going to hit you sometimes on the road, and you got to be prepared. And that's where, the excessive turnovers and, not valuing your possessions when you're playing on the road, especially being a young and inexperienced team. But like I told them, none of them guys are sophomores now. We've done played enough games. You go through one round of district games in this district, you automatically move up a class in experience. So, I mean, all these guys, you're not young anymore. You're veterans now, so you got to start playing like it.
Yeah. Won 4 of your last 5 in district play to get into a tie with Franklin at the top of the standings there. Again, Independence a game back, and then you've got everybody else, within a game of each other. Nolensville sitting there at 5 and 6 in district play, and then Centennial, Page, Ravenwood, and Summit all 4 and 7. So like you said, this last 3 games is really going to kind of a lot is going to shake out over that. You guys have Ravenwood coming to your place tomorrow night, and it doesn't matter where that one is played. It's always going to be big. So I'm sure the atmosphere will be fantastic for that one, just like last Friday. And then, like you said, go to Independence and Nolensville to finish up next week. What are you looking for out of this next 3 games other than trying to cut down turnovers?
Yeah, we're just looking for consistency. And the growth within our offense. Like when the 3 ball's not falling, we got to find a way to be able to manufacture points, because we'd like for that to be able to generate the transition points off our press and off our traps. but the guard play is so good in our league. It's just hard to constantly turn people over and over. You can pick spots to do it in to generate a few extra possessions, but you're not going to make a living, depending on that for your scoring. So you're going to have to be able to score when you get those possessions in the half court. And that's what postseason basketball is about. You got to be able to execute when you have those possessions. And that's where we've got to grow. And then, like I said, being able to do that on the road in hostile environments, that's going to be a huge, huge growth opportunity for our basketball team.
Troy Crane, Brentwood first-year boys basketball coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley. Coach, I'm not going to ask you who you want to see necessarily in the district tournament, but who particularly do you feel like, from a matchup standpoint, that kind of thing, who particularly poses a problem for you?
Well, I think anybody that has tall guards. I mean, and I tell you, one of the most scariest groups that runs out there at you is really the Page guys, because all those guys are so long and they're athletic. And, we've got a couple of guys on our in our rotation that's got to have parental consent to ride all the rides at Six Flags. So when you start running some ball screens and things like that, and they start blitzing you, that the law of verticality sets in, and so it makes it difficult. But Page definitely, with their length and stuff, and that's the thing. It seems like everybody has everybody's got physical guards, so there's really not just one. But I'm telling you, and we had Page at our camp back in the summer, and I got to watch them several games throughout the summer. And they were, the whole thing, you write it down on a piece of paper in the time capsule. They were kind of my sleeper pick, to win our district. I really thought they had all the pieces. And I'm just telling you guys, when they get their sickness over with and they get their legs back under them, they're going to be a dangerous team here in postseason.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
We will go to Coach Reynolds because he is now with us, joining us. Again, third-year girls basketball coach at Ezel Harding, Gabe Reynolds, here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat, Play, Party. Coach Reynolds, appreciate you coming in with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Appreciate you all having me on.
Oh, absolutely, man. Sounds like it's been a nice season to this point, but far from over, ideally, for the Lady Eagles.
Yes, sir. It's been a good season. Been a very fun season for me as a coach. This is probably the best team that I've had the privilege of coaching, the most fun team I've had the privilege of coaching. These young ladies, they play hard for each other. They play together. Their vibe on the court and off the court is impeccable. It's better than what I could ever imagine.
You know, and I would imagine that's something that you kind of been working toward over the 3 seasons that you've been there. Just take us through the build up to this 22-3 start for you all.
Well, the pieces were already here. When I got the job 3 years ago, Reagan Williams, Briley Price, they were already here, but they also had Amaya. Man, I can't remember her last name now.
I can't help you, Coach.
Because I had a 1 year, but with that group, that foundation was already there, and Amaya was getting ready to graduate, but Reagan was a sophomore, Briley was a freshman, so I knew I still had pieces in place with her, with that group coming back, and then we just had some freshmen come in. I had a player return back from injury, Ariana Ridgeway. We got Olivia Anyemboy healthy, and eligible last year. And then we had 2 freshmen, Kendall Armstrong and Kayla Bolin. That rounded out the pieces that we needed to go with for this season. So we had a good nucleus. We didn't have much depth, but we made it work the best way that we could with a 7-person rotation.
Oof. Again, 22-3, ranked number 3 in the current Tennessee Sports Writers Association's statewide poll in Division 2A, behind University School of Jackson and Providence Christian. You know, did you feel like, you know, with what you had coming back in the situation that y'all were in, that you had this as a possibility? You know, I think you've won what? 2, 4, 6. You've now won 7 straight here heading into postseason play. Do you feel like this was the type season that this team was capable of to this point?
We went in with no expectations this year. Our goal was to just at the beginning of the season just be middle of the pack and just try to be competitive. And I think after our trip to Florida, where we played Milford High School out of Ohio, and we lost in that championship game, and we came back. I think that was when the turning point started to go. Going into the game with Good Pasture back on January the 15th or 16th, seeing how we played there, and then the Nashville Christian game right after that, it was like we never talked about it. We started hearing the noise. But I went back to a Nick Saban quote and was like, we're not going to let the rat poison get in and affect us. We're just going to just keep trucking. And we just wanted to fly under the radar. And we did that all season. But, you know, it was later on, toward the end of the season was when we started talking about we might have something special and we might have a chance.
Your last loss was to Good Pasture, as you mentioned, 63-50 back on January 15th. My cohort here is a Good Pasture graduate, so I'm sure he's got some questions for you, David.
Yeah, Coach, I'd love to hear more about Ariana Ridgeway and Briley Price. She was someone that was on my Miss Basketball candidate list. Kind of talk about what those two provide for your team this year.
Well, let's start with Briley. Briley is the heart and soul of the team. Briley is a natural athlete. She just loves to play. And when Briley is going, the rest of our team kind of goes right with it. Ariana has been our glue. She was our glue piece last year prior to tearing her ACL during the Christmas tournament at Lipscomb. but I always knew Ariana's game. Those two being right there and they playing off each other, that's helped take the pressure off of Reagan Williams. That's taking some of the pressure off Kendall Armstrong. That's taking the pressure off Olivia as well, because most teams have two players that they can focus on. We have on any given night, it could be any team with anybody with us. Briley doesn't just impact the game with scoring. She can facilitate, she can rebound, she can assist, she can play good defense. Ariana is a 3-level scorer that can score in the paint, at the mid-range, shoot the three. I can play her in the post. She can run the floor and be a rim runner. Everybody's just so versatile, and it starts with those two right there.
Coach, I loved how your schedule kind of rounded out at the end of the year, where Mo mentioned that you guys lost at home to Good Pasture in the middle of January, and you were able to kind of get some revenge last Friday night to win the district championship on the road against a really good team, a team that made it to the state championship game last year. I'd love to hear your message in the locker room pregame that got the girls fired up to be able to pull out the 2-point win on the road.
Well, I can't take credit for my message. I have to go back to Bruce Pearl when he was at Tennessee, and he was playing. He was the number 2 team in the nation, and they were getting ready to play John Calipari and the Memphis Tigers, my Tigers. And I remember that speech, and it just stayed with me when Bruce said, "You got to have passion, poise, and purpose." We blocked out the noise. We knew everybody was going to talk about that game. Once Nashville Christian beat Good Pasture, everybody started looking at February the 7th and saying, that's the game, that's the game. So if it wasn't for Nashville Christian, we wouldn't have been in position. So we thank them. But in the locker room that particular day, we just wanted to have passion as we played the game, poise when they made their runs, poise when the crowd got into it, and we were playing with a purpose. We knew what our purpose was that night. And last thing I told the girls was, I don't know if we're the number 1 team in the district, but we were 32 minutes from being the number 1 team in the district.
Gabe Reynolds, third-year basketball coach at Ezel Harding, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley. Coach, you said that the pieces were in place when you got there, basically. What do you feel like you have added to that mix to, again, elevate this program to a district regular season championship, the number 3 spot in the state in the TSWA rankings, and whatever is ahead of you all over the next few weeks?
I think when I got here, I just took what the previous coach was doing, because he had started to turn the program around from the down years. And we just came in and we just started. I just added that military structure because I'm an active duty Army vet. So we came in, we added that structure. We started pushing the girls out of their comfort zone. We started holding them accountable, and we made practice harder. They were just going through the motions and having fun in practice. We were making practice harder because every last one of these young ladies said, I want to play at the next level. So I told them, my dad coached at Texas Southern for over 20 years. So I told him, I said, if you're going to play at the next level, you're going to have to practice hard. You're going to have to play hard, and I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to be easy on you. There are going to be some days you're not going to like me, and they accepted the challenge. So coming into year 3 after going to the first round of the state tournament last year, like I said, we were just riding. We were flying under the radar, and they kept holding each other accountable. This team became player-led more than coach-led. And it started with Reagan Williams being the senior captain, and Ariana Ridgway, and also Briley Price. They were holding everyone accountable. If someone messed up, it wasn't me that was getting on them. They were getting on their teammates. They were holding them accountable in games.
What do you see out there for this team as you guys get ready for, postseason play? You open up tomorrow night your district tournament semifinal matchup against Donaldson Christian. What are the steps that it takes for you guys to get to Cookeville in this case?
We just have to keep being us. We have to not change what we're doing, keep our identity. We're not going to be someone that we're not. We're going to be who we've been all season. That's a grit and grind team. Like I said, we only have a 7-person rotation. So We can play fast. We can slow it down. We can play zone. We can play man. We're big on defense. Our calling card is defense. And if our defense is on point, then that's going to take care of everything else. We're going to go in, and we're not getting the big head. We're not too high. We're not too low. We're very humble. That's one of our mottos this year is humble but hungry. But we're playing together and we're balling on Bell Road. And if we do those three things right there, we feel that we have a good a shot as anybody else to get to Cookeville and get to the Final Four.
You know, when you say you hang your hat on defense, I'm looking up and down your scores, and you've only given up 50 points 3 times, and it was all 3 of those games were in November. And so when you are holding folks to less than 50, you're always going to have a chance, I would imagine.
Yes. The calling card is defense. We set a goal. My staff, they set a goal. It's like, hey, we have to score a certain number of points this game so that we can give ourselves a chance. But even if you go back into our 3 losses, if you go back to the Rockvale game, we were up 41-28 in the fourth quarter. We just couldn't score after that, and Rockvale went on a 19-0 run. When we lost to Milford in the championship game down in Florida, we were right there, but they had more depth. They ran 12 girls out, and we had 6 because Reagan got hurt that game. And then in the Good Pasture game, we were down 22 at halftime, and third quarter we switched the defense, made one change in the lineup, and we cut that 24-point lead down to 4 and gave ourselves a chance. We just ran out of gas at the end.
Is that a concern for you, Coach, running out of gas again with such a thin bench? I mean, that clearly there's nothing you can do about it, but I mean, how do you manage that?
It will be a concern, but it's not. It's something we've dealt with all season. We play by committee. Even the ones that are at the end of the bench, they know that when their number is called, they need to be ready. Like I said, we don't just focus on our first 5 in practice and our key subs. We practice everyone. Again, going back to that military discipline in me, everybody has to be ready for the next person up. So whether it's the starting 5, the first sub, or the last young lady on the bench, or the trainer or the manager, everybody is ready.
Coach, I got to ask you, we are so social media based with this show as we look for who to tag from Ezell Harding girls basketball. Tell me about Dragon_Slim10, which is your Twitter handle.
So I was stationed at Fort Bragg, which is now Fort Liberty, and I was a part of the 82nd Airborne Corps, and we fall under 18th Airborne Corps, which is the Dragon Brigade. So that was where the Dragon came from, Dragon Brigade. And when I was playing ball in college and in the military, everybody used to call me Slim, and my number was 10. So that's where Dragon Slim 10 came from.
Awesome. I love it. I always love those Twitter handles, those social media handles that have a story behind them. So that's cool to know.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. You suck! It's all your fault! Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
Do you wanna be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you wanna taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. It is time for Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and we are pleased to have cornered Laverne boys basketball coach, former Wake Forest point guard, Tony Rutland, and I am equally excited about both of those titles, actually. Tony, thanks for taking some time with us, man.
Thank you for having me. I've heard a lot about the show, seen it a couple of times, and I follow a lot of y'all when you talk about sports. So I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yes, sir.
Well,
welcome in.
We appreciate the follow and the support, and I'm sure a number of folks are following your Wolverines, who have not lost in the 2025 year.
Yeah, we had a tough schedule in the beginning of the year, which I schedule on purpose. So it puts us through the ringer early so we can get experience playing tougher teams. So when the tournament starts, we've been battle tested, win or lose, we've been battle tested. And we just so happened to really catch on in the month of January and continue to district play in February. So we were able to just play good basketball, but, still have to learn and get better too.
17-7, 13 straight heading into postseason play, wrapping up the season with a 78-65 district win over neighboring rival Smyrna. It's always good when Laverne beats Smyrna, I know, but yeah. Tony, what do you attribute that success to? You guys coming off of a 23-12 finish last year, advancing to state quarterfinals, falling to eventual champion Independence in the quarters. But what has helped this team get to this point?
I really think that we're still a veteran team. I lost two main guys last year, my point guard and my big, who went to college and graduated last year and went to college. But, Landon Bryant is our main guy. He's been steady for the last 3 or 4 years since I've had him. And I had to make him into a point guard per se. So, he has now changed from being a shooter to a combo guard. And that change has helped us some, and it's helped him as well, because I just think that him moving over to the point guard gives him a little bit more experience, just in case he does have to go to the D1 level, and he has the capability of doing it. But, just helping him and the way I saw him this summer playing with Mookie Betts, his leadership has helped us a lot. But, really, other than two guys, everybody was on the team last year. So they experienced a lot of the hard scheduling and the success that we had last year. And so they've been through it. So I think a lot of guys, haven't really played, but yet they're still veteran guys. So, and I contribute to them just sticking through the tough schedule and working hard, coming to practice, wanting to learn, watching film, and, trying to get better.
Tony, I wanted to ask you, kind of glancing through your results, obviously during this win streak here, you guys are rolling. But it seems like you've also had a couple of games where you're winning tight, hard-fought contests, a couple of possessions, or even a 1-point victory. Is that something that your team has kind of shown you, that extra level of grit? How do you attribute winning so many close games during this run you guys are on?
You know, the most proudest thing I've got about, I really like about our team this year is just the fact that we don't panic. We've been down 8 points. We've been down close to 10, but we never panic. And I think that contributes to, again, leadership and just playing the tough schedules. So they, through all those thick and thins, we execute our game plan. We make sure that we're not trying to come and just win the game in the first minute or 2 or 3 possessions. We just try to chip away and get some stops, and then hopefully, get to the free throw line and execute the offense. But I'm really proud of our defense, and again, Landon Bryan has done a really good job of just running the team. But I do have a glue guy that does everything for us. His name is Cam Samuels, and he is that guy that will get all the rebounds, play the best guy on defense, and do whatever I ask him to do. He's our glue guy, and I think every team that wins championships have one of those guys.
You got to have one of those guys. And I'm also curious, during this run and in these close games, where do you guys stack up injury-wise heading into the postseason? Has it been a physical run in the lead-in? And how do you assess your health going into the postseason?
Well, fortunately for us, a lot of our health issues were in the beginning of the season. I'm just getting one of my guys back. He's a junior, Tarsky Jones. He was a big he come off of a knee injury and as well as like a hip injury where a piece of bone chipped off in his hip. So he had to let that heal. But other than that, just the little fatigue injuries here and there. But, fortunately for us, we've been doing really good with health and just staying healthy throughout the year. I also try to get the guys to get in the pool a lot. We do have a pool, which, a lot of schools don't, but it's not just about running on the track. I try to do a lot of stuff like that, just doing different conditioning things to help the guys other than just running. And then they get tired of just running around the track in the gym and stuff like that. So we try to do different things. But, again, it helps to stay healthy during this time.
Tony Rutland, Laverne boys basketball coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley. Coach, you talked about Landon becoming more of a point guard for you this time around, and I would think there's no better guy who can get a guy into that point guard mentality than a former point guard. How do you feel like he has taken your tutelage?
I thought twice, and I don't know why it didn't come to me earlier, but I had to make that adjustment my senior year. I played with Allen Iverson freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Then he got in trouble, our junior year after we won the state championship. And then going into our senior year, I made that transition to the point guard position, which helped me, land at Wake Forest. And so I was like, hey, I've been there and done that. So let me go ahead and try to take you under my wings. And, he's very similar to how I was, not bulky wise, but I was 169 when I graduated high school, and he's a lot taller than I am, but he's made that adjustment. And for him, the biggest thing is not the basketball IQ. I believe it's just more of he wants to score because that's what he's used to. But I'm trying to change that mentality and say, hey, you can score whenever you want. Just get the other guys involved first, because that's going to open up more scoring for him. And he's getting it. And, his numbers has gone up. We just, I don't know what it is, but, I think just like the Laverne, we don't get the pub that, a lot of schools. I think you all do a great job with a lot of the, schools that are around the area and pubbing a lot of the players, and they get the accolades and stuff like that. We just don't have that as much as, we should. And I think that if we was a football team and we had this 13-game win streak, I think, everybody would talk about it. But, it's basketball and it's tough, and you have a lot of different teams that's around. And so I think he's getting overshadowed a lot, but his numbers are great. Like we played Franklin twice, lost once, and we won one, and he had a great, game against them. So, it's a team effort. And again, I think he's doing a wonderful job making that transition.
You kind of buried the lead there a little bit, taking over for Allen Iverson your senior season, but just because we could have an entire show on that, because I'm a huge Iverson fan, but tell people that don't know just how much of the truth Bubba Chuck was on the football field.
Listen, he was probably one of the best football players I seen in high school, and that was, he played all positions, whether it was quarterback, receiver, defense, safety, kickoff, punt return. And just like basketball, he could take over a football game with just one possession. I've seen it where we'd be down maybe, 2 scores, and we'll get a stop, punt return. He goes for a punt, he take it all the way to the end zone on a punt return. Then turn around, get an interception, and then now we're up. So I've seen it happen. But before Michael Vicks and before all those guys, it was Allen Iverson doing those things. And when Lou Holtz says Allen Iverson will be the first player to ever play basketball and football, that says a lot, because at Florida State, we had Charlie Ward, but for Lou Holtz to say that Allen Iverson could play both football and basketball at Notre Dame, it was big.
Wow. That's amazing. Tony Rutland, Laverne basketball coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Coach, again, you guys 23-12 last year, fell in the quarterfinals at the Glass House. How much of a motivation has that been for this team? Once you taste it, you're not satisfied until you get back and kind of finish the deal, I don't think.
Yeah, we talked about it last year. It's crazy because we're in the quarterfinals and we're shooting 70% from the field, and we're down 12, and at half. And so, I think it was one of the highest scoring, state quarterfinal, semifinal games. But we're shooting 70%, and it was all about details. And when you go back and look back, in the second quarter, we allowed 2 guys to hit 5 threes. We take those away, and we could be up 10. So we're down. You take 5 threes away, and we're down 12. You take those away, we're up. And that was the motivation for us, is just the details. Pay attention to details. We said they were shooters. We take away some things, and then the outcome could be different. You never know. Beating Independence, that could have got us a momentum, and then just like Cookeville beating Bartlett, that took them over the edge, and then that took them to the finals. So in March matters, that we say, it's just one game, and I go back to the UConn when they were the last seed in the Big East. They just went on a run, and Kemba Walker took over, and the rest is history, national champions. So, it's just a momentum builder.
You've seen it from that standpoint. I'm amazed because I didn't put, like I said in the tweet, in the text, I didn't put you in that era with Childress and Duncan and all those guys from the Tennessee area that Dave Odom recruited over there in the mid-90s. Joseph Aminette from Pickett County, Nicky Arenzi from Martin Luther King, Robert O'Kelly, like you mentioned, from Memphis. Kind of the heyday of Wake Forest basketball, and you're right there in the middle of it.
Yeah, those guys came in, and as a freshman, I was kind of underrated, because again, Allen had so much pub, parade, All-American, and I played with Boo Williams, and one of the teams that we used to hate playing was the Tennessee Travelers, Ron Mercer. So it was Ron Mercer, it was Rodney Dale, who went to Wake Forest as well. And then, you had all those guys that played. Those were our really like rivals. cross-state rivals because they played so hard and we could never get over the edge, and they would play and we'll beat them and they'll beat us. But, you know, when I came in as a freshman, you know, I had to work hard to get my playing time. You know, I'm in the All-Star game and Dave Odom says, listen, you're not going to play any minutes unless you play defense. And I'm in an All-Star game. I'm doing 360s. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not thinking about defense like you're talking about, like the NBA All-Star. Who plays defense in that, right? But, you know, I took that in perspective, and as soon as I got on campus, I was able to do the same thing. And then when I was a senior, I was able to take Robert O'Kelly under my wings, help him get Freshman of the Year. A lot of teams, they just, you know, would keen on me, and I was able to find Robert O'Kelly, and he had a successful career at Wake as well. So, you know, from me being a freshman, winning an ACC championship, going back to back and having more of a role my sophomore year, I try to instill that into the guys that I coach and you know, and train now. But, you know, they got to continue to work hard and go game speed when they're working out.
What is next for this Laverne team? You guys go into postseason play. I've not been able to find a bracket, but what have y'all got going on? And how has the weather impacted y'all?
The weather has impacted us a little bit here. The girls were supposed to play today. I think everybody's going to play on tomorrow if we're permitted. If not, then I guess they'll move it to Saturday. But as of right now, they'll have I think our girls will play tomorrow at 4, starting at 4, and it'll move on to like 8:30, I believe. So there'll be 2 girls and 2 boys to play tomorrow. And then Saturday we'll have the same thing. We will have the semifinals and finals for girls and boys. And then the girls championship will be Monday, and the boys will be Tuesday.
And where is all of that, Coach?
All this be in Lebanon.
Oh, nice drive.
Yep, it will be. And, you know, they have a great facility. So, you know, this is the last time, you know, we'll be with Lebanon in our district with Cookeville. So, you know, next year everything changes, and, you know, we're going back to kind of like the Rutherford County thing, but it should be a good tournament.
What's the key for you guys navigating that thing and staying hot?
I think, you know, we've been there and done that. I think, you know, just playing our game. You know, now we're in the end part of our marathon, as I say. You know, my saying is a marathon, not a sprint. And, you know, we're right at that end of that last mile where guys who are freshmen are not freshmen anymore. They should be sophomores, and vice versa, you know, for sophomores, they're juniors. So now you have gone through the season where you should be mature and nothing should rattle you. And that's where we're going to go play our game and hopefully, you know, make teams adjust to us and other than us adjust to them.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Coach's Corner, as we typically do on Thursdays. We are pleased to have with us Liberty Creek softball coach Kelsey Cartwright. The Wolves.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you, Coach. The Wolves, in their second season of competition, won the Class 2A state championship. Kelsey, what do you do for an encore?
You know, it's really about taking every day and what it's worth and just trying to get better that day and continue to make the choice to be good teammates, and the results really will speak for themselves. So while we want to be competitive and be back where we were last year, it starts with a focus on every day, not a day that's months away. So that's kind of the approach we're taking this year.
At the same time, you got to feel like that bullseye is going to be on your back. If y'all aren't discussing it, other folks are. You know, we're playing the defending state champs.
Right. And it's one of those things that I'm so fortunate that I was able to play for a great program at Good Pasture. As an 8th grader, I got to come in and play with a very historic senior class: Daniel Peroni, Tony Hutchison, Jamie Walmsley, Jocelyn. All of them were going to go play big-time ball in college. And we had a lot of success due to them and our coaching staff, where we won 4 times in a row. So as a player, I got to really get to understand what that feels like, to be able to still play the game, even though everybody's coming for you at the same time, because it is different. It's easier to win that first time when nobody knows who you are. And it's different once people do know who you are. So trying to slowly let the girls know how that's going to be a little different this year at the same time, for sure.
Don't let Kelsey fool you while she mentions all those other individuals that went on and played big-time softball. Kelsey was Gatorade Player of the Year out of Good Pasture and signed with Auburn originally. So it's not like she was just kind of watching great players. She was a pretty great one herself. How do you pass that experience and that knowledge along to your kids on a day-to-day basis, Coach?
You know, God's blessed me so much to be able to come back at the high school level, because even when I was in high school, I knew in my heart I wanted to be a high school coach and teacher. I remember telling my coaches that's what I wanted to do, and here I am. I just love being able to give back to the game and give back to the girls. And as I tell them, try to learn things a little easier and not the hard way like I did a lot of times. And while I still try to do that, the game has grown and changed so much with the amount of exposure that softball has, especially at the college level. It's one of those things that it's super exciting for this generation of softball players because of the opportunities they have. But I definitely have some wisdom that I'm trying to give them from somebody whose, college career is further and further in the rearview mirror.
Coach, as you kind of make that transition and as this team kind of makes that transition, we catch you just before the start of the season. Break it down for us. What does this, in your mind right now, what does this year's team look like? We obviously maybe have an idea of what you would like it to look like, but what do you kind of see when you kind of unfold your roster at the moment?
So I'm super fortunate. I only graduated one player last year, so we have a lot of returners back. And I was very privileged that Dr. Holt allowed me to begin the program here at Liberty Creek. But starting a program is way different than year 3. Now the girls know my expectations. They know each other. So we have some good momentum on what our expectations are organically versus me every day trying to teach them that. So I'm really fortunate a lot of that little stuff's taking care of itself. But our words this year as a team is to be selfless teammates and do whatever it takes to get the job done and to be fearless competitors. So every day at practice or at games, we're highlighting those two aspects of our culture and our team. And we're really just trying to dive into that. And we feel like if we're able to do that, then, like I said, results are going to take care of themselves.
I would imagine, too, like you said, the momentum of last year kind of has those natural built-in expectations. And it's easy to kind of be selfless when you've kind of – it feels like when you've seen the results and they kind of played out exactly the way you mentioned last year.
Right. But – what I will say, we definitely had some times where we got a good taste of humble pie last year. We played a very tough schedule, especially out of state. We played some of the top teams in Alabama and some of the top teams in Kentucky. And it's one of those moments where we were looking for that to see how they would rebound and grow, because that's how you get better. And it paid off. We're still looking for those opportunities this year. And inevitably, you learn more from the losses than you do the wins. So we're not scared of trying to maintain perfection. What we're trying to do is learn with every mistake and not be beat the same way twice.
Kelsey Cartwright, softball coach at Liberty Creek, joining us here on Coach's Corner. Coach, when you – as you said, you're establishing a program. This is y'all's third year that you're getting ready to go into next week. To have the success that you've had so early and putting yourself on that radar, on that level, and while you're not chasing the success necessarily as much as the process, what does that mean to a program in its early days to be in that position so quickly, do you think?
It's definitely a privilege. All the glory goes to God and everything that I've been blessed with, and I've been blessed to be here. But it's one of those things that I'm not going to be here forever. And I want to try to build a foundation that, my players' kids can come back to and be proud to be a part of that. And also, too, I want us to be known by not just how we are on the field, but how we are off the field. So character is really big for us. And we talk about that softball is something we do. It's not who we are. And we really try to invest in both sides of that. So it's been a very challenging part of my coaching career to start a program and be intentional with those things, because they just don't happen on their own. So we're trying to continuously put effort in the right places and know that the rest of it will take care of itself.
Still the career home run leader at Goodpasture with 44. Kelsey, who's your big stick that you are that's out in front for you guys offensively as you head into the season?
I'm really fortunate. We don't have any gaping holes in our lineup, which I think makes us a little different than a traditional high school lineup. We're all tough outs. Our top power producers from last year would be our 3-hole Kinsley Gregory and our 4-hole Maddie Floyd. And yes, they do produce a lot of offense for us, but they're not the only ones. So I think we have a really balanced offensive attack, not even in our starting lineup, but kids coming off the bench. So I really look forward to seeing those two in the 3 and 4 hole continue their success. But I know that they're backed up and the next person's ready to pick up the bat and make some pop themselves.
I was chatting via DM on X or Twitter with friend of the show and softball analyst Marin Angus Combs. Talk to me about Kayla West.
Kayla West is a very, very talented pitcher. She was a little bit delayed in her high school career due to an injury, so she actually wasn't able to pitch at all her freshman year. So her sophomore year last year, as anybody that can check a stat line can say that it was pretty impeccable, because even though it was her sophomore year, really on the field it was her freshman year. She is able to command the ball with a lot of great movement, and she doesn't miss often, almost so much that I have to make her throw balls because she is so incredibly accurate. And that's just her physical set. Her mental competitive side is what continues to set her apart. She wants the ball in the big moments. So I would argue that Kayla is one of the best pitchers in the state by far. And I also want to brag on the rest of our pitching staff because I have so many other pitchers. We don't have to burn out anybody throughout the season, which allows us, when it comes down to the end, to really ride somebody who's fresh and not on fumes. So the pitching staff has been able to support each other really well as too.
Who are coaches, who are some of those other arms for you, Coach?
Well, from last year returning, we have Tulip Heinrich, who's a junior, Presley Brenniger, who's a junior, Avery Sweet, who's a junior. This year we have 2 new arms to add to that arsenal. We have Kinsley Belcher, who will be a sophomore, and Kaylee Jones, who will be a freshman. So we're really able to operate like a college pitching staff, if I'm being honest, and not the traditional high school staff of just trying to hope you have one good arm and hope that they last.
So how do you get time for all of those talented arms in the circle, Coach?
So we're really intentional that we're not a one-way a type of attack when it comes to pitching. We like to throw multiple pitchers at people to see who's the best matchup. So we're really fortunate in that, and that we'll throw 2 different people against the same team, and we'll say, hey, who had more success here? Or if somebody's off that day, because none of us are perfect, it's okay. Somebody else can come stand in get in that circle and help you with that.
Coach, 30-plus wins last year, yeah, and kind of while we're talking about it, a lot of goose eggs tossed up. Was that a function of that cumulative staff that you're kind of talking about, or was that one player in particular kind of getting it done?
No. Last year, most of our innings were split by Tulip Heinrich and Kayla West in our varsity matches. But then again, come state tournament time, our game to get into state, we had to get beat twice. We lost that first game, but we had Avery Sweet come in, and she absolutely shut down Westview. They didn't score any more runs. So it really just is one of those things that anybody can step up at any moment. But we definitely are relying on our pitching staff, even though we have some bright spots in it. There's no doubt.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it too there. What was it like kind of battling through not just Westview, but also obviously saw Westmoreland several times, playing the same team multiple times and trying to attack them a different way, and ultimately, obviously, coming out on the better end of that more often than not?
Yes, and like I said, that's one of the huge benefits of having a large pitching staff like we do. In regular season, they saw Kayla West one time, they saw Tulip one time. And then we kind of got to take that into the district tournament on, okay, who's a better matchup here? And as far as Westview goes, we were in a position where we had to get beat twice. So, and they only had one pitcher that threw for them, and she's a phenomenal athlete. But that would have been her 3rd game in 24 hours. So we were able to have a little bit more of a strategy on who we wanted to throw that first game. And thankfully, it, like as you can tell, it paid off.
Coach, what kind of comfort is that, because you've been around softball long enough to know that, every time you open that bullpen door, you don't know what's coming. It sounds like you do. And that's got to be a great benefit to you.
It is. It is really nice. And it's great for the girls too. Softball is a very grueling season, fast and furious, a lot of games really quickly. And, not all of us are going to be in our A game every day. So that's different between, softball and baseball, where you are limited on how much you can throw a week. Softball, there's no limit. So it's really great for our pitching staff to learn that it's not all on their shoulders, but when they get the ball, to go all out and know that your teammate has your back if you need them.
Who do y'all start off with this week?
So our home opener is going to be at home versus Wilson Central, and then we go to Harpeth, and then we go to Gulf Shores tournament the very next week.
That'll be fun. Hopefully you'll get some good weather while you're down there and be able to enjoy. So y'all are on spring break already?
Not yet. So this week we're doing our scrimmages. And then, like I said, next week's our opening week, and then our spring break is earlier as well. Okay. So, we'll be hitting it soon. And also too, with the basketball season extending later, I've got 3 currently on the basketball team, Kaylor West being one of them, that are playing for the region champion or first round of region. So, we've been preparing, and thanks to that staff and other players, we're able to continue to prepare for when they come back.
So Kaylor's a Western Kentucky commit, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, with her being a multi-sport athlete like that, how is she able to, get her work in with both? I mean, will she be ready to throw when basketball season is over with, do you think?
I definitely think she'll be ready to throw. She's a committed athlete that works on her own. Same thing with my other basketball players. They get their reps in on their own until it's time for softball season. And once again, we're so blessed that we have a pitching staff. As soon as Kaylor's available, it's not like she's expected to come in and throw every single game. She'll have some time to kind of get her feet up under her, make sure that stamina is ready, and keep her at her prime.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
And we are coming in hot live from the Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball Media Day here at Municipal Auditorium. And we are joined by Director of Basketball, Megan
Perry. Yeah.
Perry. I'm sorry. Megan
no
Perry.
No worries. I'm actually our Vice
short.
President of Basketball for Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball.
Well,
welcome in. We're glad to have you.
We absolutely are glad to have you as we get things started off here on a Monday afternoon. Again, we are here for AU Unlimited Pro Basketball Media Day. They start their season Wednesday night here at Municipal Auditorium. Professional women's basketball here in Nashville. Really excited about it and really excited to have Megan Perry on with us. Just take us through this. One, how did you guys wind up in Nashville? You were in Vegas last year, is that right?
Sure. Let me kind of give you a quick overview of it. So Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, we're going into our 4th season. And our first season was actually played in Las Vegas.
First season.
And then the past 2 seasons were played in Dallas. And we are bringing AU Pro Basketball. We call it AU for short, but AU Pro Basketball here to Nashville for season 4. We're really excited about the move to Nashville.
Now, AU is, you have to say AU basketball because there's also AU softball. There's AU volleyball.
Yes.
And what else?
Yes. So we have, I'll share, the Athletes Unlimited itself. We are the largest network of professional women's sports leagues here domestically within the United States. So we have the largest footprint of professional female athletes. So we operate basketball, softball, and volleyball. But I oversee basketball for AU Pro Basketball, and I'm really excited to be able to talk about our decision to bring professional women's basketball to Tennessee. Because we really do feel that Tennessee, obviously, it's a hotbed for women's basketball, and it has been for a long time. The talent that we know has come out of Tennessee, the rich history of the collegiate programs across the state, and quite frankly, I think Tennessee has been without professional women's basketball for too long, and so we wanted to take this opportunity to bring, elite professional women's basketball back to a city that has shown for a long time that they are eager and hungry to show up for it.
The sales pitch sounds pretty simple with what you just laid out for Tennessee and I guess Nashville, even more hyper. I know it wasn't that simple, though, right? Kind of how did the process come about? And we love the setup here at Municipal Auditorium. When you walk in, this is a historic building, and you guys are adding a new chapter to that history, which I think is really special.
Well, we love that you love the setup. I'll say one thing when we think about basketball, and I think about Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, and just the makeup of our community, it's diverse. It's eclectic. In Nashville, Music City specifically meets us with that, meets us where we are. It is a blend of sports, music, and culture, like all in one place. And we think Nashville Municipal Auditorium very well represents that for us. And to your point about the process, was it a long process? We started this process over a year ago, and we had numerous site visits. We've been working with members, the city of Nashville, the administration, and they've been nothing but kind and warm and welcoming to us and showing us the wonderful player experience that our players will have while they're on the ground. There's so much that Nashville offers. But I'll also say we took a look at how women's basketball fans have shown up in Nashville. From the Final Four, I believe it was back in 2014. I was a long time ago working for the WNBA front office and was a part of coming here to scout some college talent back in the day. But I remember well just the warmth of the community, and we were searching for a home. And I think that Nashville has shown us that not only do they want to be great partners, but the city of Nashville has been a great host for us to find a home here.
Megan Perry, Director of Basketball for Athletes Unlimited, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, play starts Wednesday, and what's unique about AU is it's really player-driven right down to the teams change each week, and that's really a fascinating situation to me. Players draft, it's player-driven all the way around. Players draft the teams. Players basically coach the teams. They have a facilitator for each team.
Let me tell you all about the model. I'm happy to share because I think it is really unique. So overall at Athletes Unlimited, we believe that players are savvy business leaders, and that overall there should be more opportunities to collaborate with players because they're the ones doing it. They have some bright ideas, and we should incorporate that into our decision making. So our model is a little bit upside down from the traditional model, where you have owners and GMs and coaches making decisions and telling players what to do. We don't believe that's the way to do business. We actually believe we collaborate with the players along the way. And so we are player-led and driven down to our format. So like you mentioned before, for the way we actually play our game, it's 5-on-5 basketball, but we split 40 players across 4 teams. The top 4 finishers on the AU leaderboard, which is a board that we use to pretty much calculate bonus points throughout the game for teams and individuals, but the individuals are ranked on the leaderboard. The top 4 finishers on our leaderboard each week are named as captains of the team. The captains select their team in our weekly draft, Mondays at 11 a.m. Central Time. So we just finished one up a couple hours ago. We draft our teams for the week, and our captains are in charge of the decision-making for their team. So they're working with our facilitators, that's AU language for coaches.
Okay.
So they are effectively coaches, but it's different than a traditional coach because they are supporting the decisions of our captains. So our captains are formulating practice strategy. They're making substitution decisions in games. They are the ones calling the timeouts. They are game managing and playing. And so it's a really cool way for them to see the game in a different perspective, learn and grow through that, and be supported by professionals who are first class, right, top of the industry, to be able to lean on and consult in that process.
We've got a little bit of the leaderboard. I don't know how much folks can see it. I am curious, is that going to be updated on the fly in real time as well during the games? So if you're a player fan, if you're an Alicia Clark fan, you can say, okay, I know exactly where she sits. You may not even be concerned about the result of the game per se, so much as you want to watch Alicia do her thing.
Well, what's really cool is within AU, every moment matters. And so we'll talk about the leaderboard specifically. So the players, all 40 players are ranked on that leaderboard. While they're playing the game, they have the opportunity to earn what we call individual stat points. So you get positive points for positive plays, 3 points, 2 points, assists, whatever that is, right? There's negative points for negative plays, for turnovers and things that impact the game negatively. But you also get team points or bonuses, right? Those team point bonus points, those are for things like team wins, if your team wins the game, but also if your team wins the quarter. So the score could right now be like a 100. Let's say the score is 100 to 80. Normally fans are tuned out and the players are tuned out at that point, but not at AU. You're playing to win the quarter. And why does that matter? Because they're playing all those bonus points that go on the leaderboard are tied to compensation, because at the end of our season, our players are playing for a pool of $1 million prize, right? And so they are incentivized to be able
Absolutely.
to compete at a high level with their team, but as well as an individual. So it's really cool. It's 5-on-5, and on top of that, if you're interested in following the bonuses and the leaderboard, it's a really cool way to engage fans.
How did you all determine the captains for this week?
Yeah, so the captains to start. So we made a little bit of a change in the off season. So the captains for week 1 are pulled from a pool of returning players, and it's randomized. So we had a random pool. We pick the numbers out, and the numbers that are assigned to those names are captains for this week.
So it's random, but one of your 4 captains is former Hillsborough High School standout, former Tennessee Lady Vol, Isabel Harrison. So
How about that?
Listen,
go figure.
Yeah, no, listen, she's been around. She's been a part of the AU family for a while, and kind of knows the ropes. But when we think about putting a really great product on the floor, it's important that when we, our pool of returners, that it's important that we pull from people that have the experience here on the floor within the AU system and can kind of help show the way. But what's different about last year than this year with AU, every single week, it's kind of like every single week matters a little bit more, because the way that the captains are chosen and selected for the next week is based on their performance for the week prior. Right? So that makes sense. You have to show up every single week, and we anticipate that there could be more variation at the top of the leaderboard. So it could change. It depends on how players perform that week.
I love the format. I love the model. And I want to ask you, how can fans, what's the easiest way to get involved? We know Wednesday is going to be opening night. It's going to be epic. So what is the simplest or easiest way for folks to come down and support you guys?
Yeah, we love that. Well, first of all, we know there's a lot of eyes on Nashville. We know there's a lot of eyes on women's basketball. So come down, put your butt in the seat, Nashville Municipal Auditorium. You're going to have a great up-close experience, a really intimate basketball experience. You can find all information, auprobasketball.com. You can purchase your tickets there. You can get in here. You can follow our leaderboard, follow our players at AU Pro Basketball as well on all of our social handles. Is the best way for people to figure out how to get in the building and how to be able to see these players up close.
You've got ball games scheduled Wednesday night at 5 and 7:30. Team Harrison plays Team Colson in the nightcap on Wednesday. 5 and 7:30 on Friday. It's Team Kirsten Bell and Team Izzy in the nightcap on Friday, and then on Saturday, February 8th, it's 5 and 7:30 as well. So it's
consistent times. We want you all to know when and where to show up, and getting your seat early. And the best thing about it, our back-to-back format, you will get to see everyone play that evening, right? You show up on one day, you get to see everyone play. And so we do try to maximize weekends. We know we want people to show up on Wednesday, but you have another opportunity Friday and Saturday as well to see any action that you missed earlier in the week.
As Megan said, she'd love for you to get your butts down here in the seats, but Wednesday's games are available on ESPN Plus. Friday's games can be seen on the WNBA app and on FanDuel Sports, and Saturday's games will be aired on ESPN Plus. So
thanks for that.
Oh, absolutely. We want folks to be able to consume this, even if they can't necessarily get down here. And so, absolutely.
Yeah, we have a great broadcast experience. I also want to shout out our broadcast team. Cheryl Swoops, the legendary Cheryl Swoop, is a part of our broadcast team, member of our family, and she'll be doing color commentary. Another name you might know includes Ari Chambers on the sideline, a very prominent women's sports voice. So we bring in some of the very best to be able to cover the game and tell these the stories of our athletes and what's happening on our sidelines.
I got to ask you, Megan, as we kind of sit here a couple days before launching the Nashville experience, anything that you guys for sure have tweaked or changed, or maybe we shouldn't have done this last year? Well, any tinkering, I guess, what have you done, or what are you excited about this to make it kind of unique to Nashville?
Sure. I will say, overall, coming into Nashville is the biggest change, right? Like this location, this venue is the biggest thing. In the off season, we spend a lot of time really focused on our player experience. In my conversations with our player executive committee, who I collaborate with, right, for everything, they were really focused on making sure that how we went about choosing our captains, that we had more variation at the top. In the past, the captains had been selected from a cumulative leaderboard score This year, it's week to week. That's
Okay.
the biggest change. I think our players are really excited about that. Other things that I would say some of our executive staff is really excited about as well is this venue, an amazing venue, an historic venue located in like the downtown area of Nashville. I'm still learning some geography, being new here, but that's exciting for us. And I'll say our overall experience, how we continue to amplify and grow our support staff around. Our players mentioned, you'll see right behind us, our player development coaches that are doing group and individual training sessions to be able to get one-on-one action outside of your practice times and your game times is really important to our player core as they're preparing themselves.
You know, being here in Nashville is cool, but just offering these ladies the opportunity outside of the WNBA to play professionally for money in the United States has got to be a great accomplishment and a great mission for you all, I would think.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, this is something that I think the women's basketball community has been screaming about for years, and it's finally manifested itself. And so, you know, the opportunity, the platform that AU Pro Basketball presents is a significant one. So, you know, the roster spots are in high demand, and we are just really excited to be able to share what this is and have the community come out and support and be able to see athletes that you've known from the college days, and maybe you didn't get visibility into them because you were not in a city with perhaps a WNBA team or didn't know how to find them online when they go overseas. Like, it's so important that if you build it, they will come, right? And we are building something here, and we know the fans are going to come out and support.
One final question I had is, obviously, we're hoping for community support, but while we have these great athletes here and great staff, are you guys also kind of getting outside and getting in the community as well? Because that's such a cool symbiotic process of this.
Yeah, I will say, well, Athletes Unlimited, like part of the core values, the foundation of this company, when it was founded, was to use sports to make positive impact in the community. That's a huge part of our DNA. One of the things that AU Pro athletes are really excited about is the opportunity to play for a cause. Let's start there.
Okay.
So each of our athletes identifies a cause that's important to them. We amplify that cause throughout the season, and at the end of the season, we make a donation on behalf of that player to that cause in the amount that's equal to their win bonuses. So we're passionate about making impact. Then here within the Nashville community, we are thrilled. We just actually had a wonderful basketball clinic at Hillsborough High School, which is the former high school of Isabel Harrison, where she was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Dory Harrison. Had a wonderful group in the community that came out to support that. February 9th, I believe, we will be having a community day of giving where we've identified a number of different organizations throughout the city of Nashville, and our players and our staff will be showing up to support those organizations. And so we're doing the best we can to get out. And I will say, coming here, what you will see that's unique and different is how during our games, our in-game entertainment, how we embrace the community, number of different community groups performing on the sidelines and really trying to tap into the heart of Music City and make sure that everyone is represented is something that we've prioritized.
Megan Perry, Director of Basketball for Athletes Unlimited, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Megan, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting us started here on this Monday afternoon, and look forward to seeing you here over the next month and some change.
Same. You guys come back, you hear?
Absolutely. Well,
that's our line.
Yeah. Thank you, Megan.
All right, thank you for having me.
Hey, Mid-South 5 Fitness bringing you our Top 5 Tuesday as Wade and I give you our top 5 most memorable sports trades. And again, this stems from the Lakers and Mavericks midnight move on Saturday night / Sunday morning, moving Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. So, Wade, the floor is yours.
Man, first one out the gate, I mean, the great one. Wayne Gretzky gets moved in the midst of 4 Stanley Cup championships. This has got to be one of the more memorable ones to me. And so much so that it was the first ever, man, there's been some good ones, but it was the first ever 30 for 30 documentary on this trade as Wayne Gretzky moves to Los Angeles. Edmonton, depending on your love of Canada. I mean, Canada kind of almost tried to intervene here and say, hey, you ain't getting our guy. This was in the midst of Edmonton in 84, 85, 87, and 88. And then poof, he's traded to the Kings. We could have had that was the closest we've ever came to war with Canada in recent memory, I feel like.
No comment. My number one is not a trade. it is 3 trades. The 2021 MLB deadline following Ronald Acuna Jr.'s torn ACL that ended his season in early July. Alex Anthopoulos got Jock Peterson 5 days later from Chicago, but then at the end of the month, he trades for Jorge Soler from Kansas City, Eddie Rosario from Cleveland, and Adam Duvall from Miami. And folks are like, what in the world are you doing? Well, we're winning a world championship. So, yeah, that is my number 1. 3 trades.
Certainly memorable for you, not as much for this Astros fan, but so I understand.
I'm sorry, Wade.
Hey, don't be sorry. It was your number 1. You got to go number 1 for a reason, partner. Number 2 for me, give me KG to the Celtics, because this was one that, to me, when I heard the news, I kind of felt like, ooh, they're up to something, and ooh, this is going to be a big fit, and kind of the original big 3 in a sense. It's kind of been attempted, hadn't often been successfully as duplicated, but when KG right in the midst of kind of knocking on the doorstep and never getting it done up in Minnesota, poof, he ends up on the Celtics, kind of giving them a new sense of life there. I think KG to the Celtics is certainly got to be a number 1 on my list.
My number 2, and I'm going way back for this one, but at the time of the ABA, the American Basketball Association NBA merger coming into the 76-77 season, Julius Erving was a New York Net, one of 4 teams coming from the ABA into the NBA. Well, the Nets were in some financial straits and traded Erving to Philadelphia. All they did was win a NBA championship that year. And Dr. J became even more of a legend. I mean, he had been a guy that you had heard of if you were keeping up with the ABA, but, you know, the exposure that they got, it was kind of tough. So he gets into the NBA, gets with an established team, wins a world championship, and the rest is history. So Dr. J to Philly is my number 2.
That's a good one. And like you said, alters a lot there in the trajectory of a number of different fronts. Number 3 for me, this one's so big, Mo, it's got its own Wikipedia page. And Herschel Walker trade kind of is the benchmark, so much so that, I mean, this is something that pops up on The Simpsons, right? I mean, it's a pop culture phenomenon. It sets things in motion for the Cowboys to kind of kickstart that massive run. Like I said, any trade that's big enough to have its own full-blown Wikipedia page has got to be memorable enough. So that's my number 3.
Pretty dang big. My number 3 is, it involves the Lakers, but it's not the one from the weekend. Shaq to Miami, because basically he and Kobe couldn't play nice. So, yeah, that would be my number 3. I mean, that team had a chance to do some real damage, historically speaking, and they couldn't get over each other. So, Shaq to Miami, number 3.
The big fella. There's so many. We could have done a full blown list, by the way, of just Lakers trades, just for the record, good and bad. That's one that kind of perhaps went against them in that regard. Up next for me, this one will go down. They didn't necessarily win a title as a result of this, but when the Patriots got Randy Moss for a 4th-round draft pick from the Raiders, what the hell are the Raiders thinking? Because everybody seemingly in the rest of the NFL saw this coming. You get one of the all-time greats, if not the best, pairing him up with Brady and just rewriting the record books. Didn't win the title, but they did everything but.
Absolutely. My number 4, we've talked about it on this show before, Hall of Famer CeCe Sabathia going from Cleveland to Milwaukee. Look up his stretch run with the Brewers. Number 5, Wade?
Number 5, Pau Gasol to the Lakers. I cried when they got rid of Pau Gasol, but I smiled when they ended up getting his brother from the trade, Marc Gasol.
There we go. My number 5, Dale Murphy to Philadelphia. I swore I would never root for the Braves again. Obviously, I was wrong. Mid-South 5 Fitness bringing you Top 5 Tuesday. This one is our best or most memorable Super Bowls. Wade, the floor is yours.
Man, this one is not the most memorable for me because I wasn't born, but it is the best. Super Bowl III, man, the Jets are 1-0 in Super Bowls, and they went out and did things the way they were supposed to. You got Broadway Joe, you got the guarantee, the 19-point underdog story versus the Baltimore Colts. What more could you ask for? Broadway Joe kind of getting things started. Unfortunately, haven't been back to one since, but we'll always have 1969, baby.
Yeah, what more could you ask for would be him actually scoring so that he would have been the first Alabama player to score in a Super Bowl rather than Devontae Smith this past weekend.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, even though you weren't around to see it. I will go. It may be kind of obvious, but it's also most memorable for me because it's the only one I've been to. Super Bowl 34, Rams 23, Titans 16. Kevin Dyson 1 yard short, all that other stuff. And like I said, I was in Atlanta for that one. If it wasn't your team, it was kind of tough to watch, but it was a heck of a ball game regardless. So that's my most memorable.
I mean, there's a reason, right? We just talked yesterday that the NFL did a full package with Dyson talking about that game. I find it kind of interesting, though. They never interview Mike Jones, right? The guy who made the tackle. They always want to talk to Dyson, or, it obviously was brought up with McNair before he tragically passed. But they never talk about the guy who actually made the tackle. But, man, what a Super Bowl that was.
No doubt. It absolutely was. Probably couldn't enjoy it like I really wanted to because I was working. But at the same time, yeah, it was good stuff. It's a good ball game. Number 2, Wade?
Number 2 for me, Super Bowl 42. That's also known as the David Tyree game. And, man, as a Jets fan, you would think, right? You would think that I don't want the Patriots to win this. We were on the precipice of the greatest team ever in the history of football. We had Tom Brady and Randy Moss going for about 1 million yards that season. Clobbering teams. I mean, they had everything, and then it came undone by a Giants team that didn't even really have any expectations entering the season. They really didn't have much of a shot, whether they admit it or not, going into the postseason. They find their way all the way into the Super Bowl, and then Eli to Tyree, a play that spoils the Patriots' unblemished record, and a Super Bowl moment that will live forever.
The helmet catch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. They kind of start to run together at a point, but yeah, that was like you said, a lot at stake in that one, and the Patriots kind of had a date with destiny, and the Giants said, "Hold up, not so fast, my friend," and all that other good stuff. And so with the Patriots not going undefeated thanks to the Giants, my number 2 is Super Bowl 7. Where the Miami Dolphins closed out a 17-0 season and remain the only team to go unbeaten from post to wire with a 14-7 win over the then Washington Redskins. Bob Greasy and that Dolphins team was loaded. Great ball game as attested by the score. So that's my number 2, Super Bowl 7, Dolphins, Redskins. Number 3, sir.
Up next for me, I got to break up the monotony a little bit because I got the Pats on a couple of these. It's hard not to have the Pats just in recent memory because there have been some wild games too. But Super Bowl 44, I was in Knoxville watching this, and you might not have wanted to been in Knoxville when you watched the Saints run away from the Colts in the second half. Peyton Manning doing what Peyton did a lot throughout the course of his career, let one get away. But the Saints with the onside kick, man, feels like a bygone era, right? When you could actually surprise a team and convert an onside kick.
Yeah, when you didn't have to tell them. Yeah, we're kicking onsides. Get ready. Yeah.
Didn't have to tell them. The Saints get the win. That is a moment that will live forever in that franchise, certainly. And one of the, an underrated Super Bowl in a lot of aspects, as Tracy Porter rather seals it with the late pick six.
And my memory of that game is Tracy Porter looking up at the big screen at the end of the end zone that he's running into to see where his pursuers are as he takes that pick six back and closes out New Orleans' only Super Bowl win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Super Bowl 22. And I didn't intend to have so many that involved Washington, but Washington 42, Denver 10, and in the second quarter of this one is when Doug Williams just unleashed hell on the Broncos. 5 touchdown passes in the quarter, and it was just as perfect a performance by a quarterback in a quarter as you've ever seen. So yeah, that's my number 3 is Super Bowl 22, and Doug Williams just demolishing Denver.
Yeah, 35-10. I think I saw the stat. That is the largest margin at halftime. The Chiefs matched that. They tied. I forget the second Super Bowl, but they matched the second biggest lopsided margin the other night. But Washington Denver was number 1 and ends up 42-10. Not even the 49ers Chargers, which we talked about a little bit last week. That game was still relatively competitive in the first half. It was not as lopsided as that Washington Denver, the one you're referencing there.
Yeah. Number 4?
Number 4 for me. I mentioned the Pats would be included in this one a little bit of recency bias, yes. But when you talk about memorable Super Bowls, all I got to say is Janet Jackson. All right. And Super Bowl 38, yeah, the Pats and the Panthers played. Yeah, the Patriots were kind of getting their dynasty underway, but nobody really remembers it for that reason. In one of the most memorable moments in Super Bowl history, Justin Timberlake, P. Diddy, Kid Rock, Janet Jackson, etc., all involved. And you can't get more memorable than that.
That's pretty memorable. I've got another one that involves the Pats at number 4. It's Super Bowl 20, Chicago 46, the Pats 10. This was before they got their dynasty going, obviously, and the Bears made sure that they didn't get it going that day. Refrigerator Perry scored a touchdown. Walter Payton did not. But, yeah, that's my number 4. Number 5.
Number 5, Super Bowl 47, Harbaugh Bowl, New Orleans. The lights go out. What more could you really kind of ask for, right? I mean, it was everything you wanted. And then it's brother John beating brother Jim 34-31. An epic game, an epic rivalry, and the lights went out.
Number 5 for me is Super Bowl 43, Pittsburgh 27, Arizona 23. James Harrison taking that pick 6 all the way back, and you wondered if he was actually going to get there or if he was going to pass out on the field. He did get there. Pittsburgh did win, and Super Bowl 43 is my number 5. We're going to give you our top 5 SNL cast members. And as I said at the start of the show, I've got a list of about 15 here. So hopefully Wade and I won't overlap too greatly. But Wade, the floor is yours.
Well, we'll get the party started. I mean, there really is only one clear choice. And from 1980 to 1984, Eddie Murphy at the top of the world, coming on the scene, 19 years of age, literally has the entertainment world in the palm of his hand. I mean, it's a totally different worldview of Eddie Murphy now. And, I wasn't around for the early onset, but that propelled everything in motion to superstardom, the likes of which, had not been seen almost to that point in terms of crossover. So I got to go with our guy Eddie at number 1 overall. Clear number 1 overall.
He was an absolute rocket, man. It was amazing to watch that evolve starting from SNL. And he was obviously on my list as well, but I'm going to go at number 1 with the late John Belushi. Just side-splittingly funny, man. And, you saw it beyond SNL on, the National Lampoon, Animal House, that kind of thing. I mean, You know, you saw it in the movie with he and Dan Aykroyd, whose name escapes me now, but and this
Blues
guy
Brothers.
was just, yes, thank you. Goodness gracious, I'm old. Just one of the funniest guys you would ever come across, and lost way too soon. But John Belushi is my number one because I couldn't have Eddie Murphy. Number two.
Number two, gotta roll on here. I'll bring it a little more modern, but Will Ferrell. You know, he may not be pound for pound the best comedian that's ever walked, but he does a great job of selling the sizzle. And there was a run for Will Ferrell where everything anytime he appeared on screen, you kind of had to stop and watch because you didn't know what was going to happen. Some classic skits. He's already been referenced on this show by Chip earlier in terms of his Jeopardy acumen. And then obviously the superstardom that he propels to after that. And he even dropped a little, how about the keyboard version of Not Like Us he played during the special the other night? I mean, still bringing it. The shtick is kind of a little, you know, it's ran its course a little bit for a lot of folks, but you got to go with Will Ferrell just for star appeal, if nothing else.
Speaking of Jeopardy, I'm going to go with Kenan Thompson at number two.
I heard this. He's the longest running cast member, I believe, in history at this point, right?
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, I'm thinking all that back in the day. And now
exactly. That's just what I was getting ready to say. From all that to, you know, to Saturday Night Live with Good Burger in between. So yeah, Kenan Thompson is my number two. Number three?
Number three for me, personal favorite. Matt Foley, motivational speaker, is one of my all-time favorite skits. And Chris Farley, speaking of guys gone too soon, I knew him more initially because of his movie stardom, but then obviously I discovered the SNL stuff down the road. And man, give me Matt Foley, and I will run through a brick wall.
In a van down by the river, huh?
Yes.
Number three, I'm going to go with the other half of the Blues Brothers, Dan Aykroyd. Quietly, kind of the straight man to Belushi's goofiness, and obviously did some great work beyond SNL. You know, I'm thinking of Trading Places, obviously, but yeah, Dan Aykroyd is my number three.
Yeah, a little Coneheads action.
Oh. Yeah. Number four.
Number four for me, she is kind of transcended like a lot of these stars, and that's kind of what the appeal for me is if you can kind of also do SNL at a high level, but then also go on to bigger things. But Kristen Wiig from 2005 to 2012, about as good as it. Target lady, you know, she's got some great skits all across the board, and just the way I love her delivery more than anything else. And her impression. I'm a huge impressionist fan, and her being able to kind of almost transform into anybody is really, really fun for me. She's my number four pick.
And if you've not seen Bachelorettes, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So, that was the movie, right? Yeah, that was her. Bridesmaids. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Man, maybe I'm not as well as I thought I was at the start of this show. Yes, Bridesmaids. Thank you. My number four, speaking of that, Maya Rudolph.
Yeah.
Her impressions, like you said, particularly of former Vice President Kamala Harris and many others. And she leads a Prince tribute band in her off time. So gotta love that as well. But yeah, she's done some great stuff on SNL. Maya Rudolph is my number four. Number five.
Last for me, Molly Shannon, who was on from 95 to 2001. You know, I put my hands under my armpits right now before I pick her, because kind of the same deal with Will Ferrell. Anytime she's on the screen, I know something wild is about to happen. And, you know, it doesn't always resonate, but I can't look away. And she was fantastic. And I have to go with Molly Shannon as my last selection.
My fifth and final selection of this exercise, just because of her command of whatever it is that she's in, is Leslie Jones. it's kind of like you were saying that whatever it is that she's doing, whatever skit it is that she's in, you've got to pay attention because you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's huge with her. Leslie Jones is my 5th among a number of candidates for best Saturday Night Live cast members. Wade and I will give you our list of movies that did not win Oscars, but are movies we kind of like. So bad movies we like is our top 5 Tuesday topic. And Wade, the floor is yours.
I appreciate it, Mo. And yeah, this is like I said, these aren't going to win any awards. These probably didn't win many, if any, awards, but you still like them. And this one kind of was dawned on me because my first pick, I was obsessed with this movie growing up. I never read the book, but I watched the trailer growing up, and I was so pumped to watch it. And I actually rewatched it about a year and a half ago. But I watched Congo from 1995, the Michael Crichton book. I loved the movie growing up, and I was just so pumped and so amped. And then I enjoyed the remake. And then I got a Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 7% rating. And I gasped in horror because I'm the type of guy, I don't really watch too many movies unless they get good reviews. Yeah. So when I see Congo with that bad a review, it kind of threw me into a little bit of a tailspin about my worldview in general. So I feel like I'm a little underwhelmed. So Congo from 95 has got to be at the top of my list.
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to awards and cinematography and that kind of thing. It's just kind of does it entertain me? Does it make me laugh? And, I can't imagine Beverly Hills Cop won any awards back in the 80s when Eddie Murphy was on the come up, but it was funny as hell. And it probably wasn't great cinema, but I liked it. Beverly Hills Cop is my number 1.
Yeah, that's a good one, whether it wins any awards or not. The newer ones, or the as it went downward in the series, then you can really, those are the ones that, maybe they're not so great, but we still like them, right?
Right. Yeah. The farther that vehicle went, that franchise went, probably the worse they got. But yeah, we will start with the OG, the original. So
quick Google says it was up for at least a People's Choice Award for favorite movie. So at least you got some company there. So it was decent. Up next for me, kind of right on the success of Home Alone. But you go back to 1993. What if Macaulay Culkin was bad? That was the premise of the movie The Good Son. And me and the wife rewatched this one not too long ago. Really enjoyed it. It's 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. And again, we kind of just gasped and said, oh my goodness, we felt bad for even liking that movie at that point. I mean, it felt like we were shook to our core. But evil Macaulay Culkin, you got a young Elijah Wood in the movie as well. That's up next on my list right there from 93.
My number 2 is, it's a guilty pleasure. I'm kind of an action movie guy. And Damon Wayans is not necessarily an action movie guy, but when you throw him in with Bruce Willis in The Last Boy Scout from 1992, it's you've got Bruce Willis, you've got Damon Wayans, and you've got Halle Berry on the same set. There's again, it's not great cinema, but I liked it. So The Last Boy Scout is my number 2.
Yeah, and it's kind of one that has a cult following as well, and so some iconic scenes in that movie, to say the least.
It's got 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and we're creeping toward respectability. When we're talking about that.
I'm a little surprised at that, actually, but okay. All right, number 3, Wade.
Number 3 for me, I got a few down the stretch here, but I'm going to go a little more recent. Ocean's 12. I'm a huge Ocean's fan. Even the OG back, in the Rat Pack era. But Ocean's 12, I loved when they go to Europe. I love the ensemble cast as always. That movie wasn't that great, really, in the grand scheme of things. And it was probably the poorest showing of the entire reboot during the franchise's heyday. But Ocean's 12, when they go to Europe, kind of a real guilty pleasure of mine. It's certainly not above Ocean's 11, but I enjoy it just the same, even though it was kind of a stinker.
Yeah. Again, this one probably wasn't one of Keanu's better efforts, but I'm going to go with Hardball. Again, it's a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not going to win a lot of awards, but a little bit of a tearjerker there. And it's got Keanu in it, so it can't be too bad, even if it's not necessarily great. I'm going with Hardball.
That's a good pull there, and I'm with you. That's the one that'll kind of get you in your feels a little bit.
And if you don't know why, just check it out. Because we don't want to spoil it. Yeah. Number 4, Wade.
Up next on my list, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's not the greatest movie you've ever seen, but Tommy Boy from '95 is it's a movie I can pretty much quote from start to finish. You got a little bit of everything. Farley is absolutely throwing 100 miles an hour in the movie. Spade is about as good as he gets. Them two kind of kickstarting their little run together. I mean, that really is almost as good as it gets. And Dan
Aykroyd playing a villain, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, Zelensky comes in at the end, and he's kind of the schmarmy guy. It's a great watch. It's on network TV a ton too, so you can find it and pop in and out, which I love. So give me Tommy Boy, man. One of my all-time faves.
That's a good call. This one, I don't think it was a very good movie, but they made like 2 more of them afterward. But again, I'm going to the OG, Major League.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Berenger, Wesley Snipes. There were some names in it. Again, not great, not award-winning, but enjoyable. It's an 83 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's one of the all-timers.
Wow. Okay. Maybe
You're in good company. You're a film snob. You just didn't know it.
Hey, apparently I am. Yeah. Who knew? Yeah. Major League is my number 4.
Major League's a great movie, great watch. Props well deserved. Final one on my list. Scotty doesn't know. That's the refrain from the 2004 classic Euro Trip, and this is one. I mean, there were so many movies kind of in the early 2000s that kind of fit this bill. Kind of a college age type movie where you just watch and you can laugh, you can enjoy, and you don't really have to think about whether it was a great movie or not. But Euro Trip is an all-time one for me. It came out in 2004, and that's at the top of the list.
I like it.
Even though it's at the bottom of my list.
My number 5 is a biographical movie, actually, and it's a Dennis Quaid movie, and it's probably, again, not one of his better movies, but The Rookie, where he portrays former Tampa Bay reliever Jim Morris, based on a true story and all that good stuff. Pretty cool premise. Again, if you're not familiar with it, check it out, but because I don't want to ruin it, but The Rookie is my number 5. It's again not great cinematography, and I can't find how many Rotten Tomatoes it has because it's getting confused with the TV series The Rookie. But it's good stuff if you like baseball. So that's my number 5, The Rookie.
I want to give a quick honorable mention. This is broad sweeping, but you could throw any Steven Seagal movie on this list. Growing up, he seemingly came out with a new one every couple of months. You can swing into Movie Gallery and pick you up one. They're all going to be bad, but you're all going to kind of watch them. Growing up, you kind of like those. And then I still haven't seen Draft Day, but a lot of people say they love that movie, even though pretty bad.
It was, I wouldn't call it bad. It was just kind of meh, but I like the storyline, and this is kind of the time of year for it, I guess.
Yeah, it's on our list.
There we go. That's going to do it for Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Again, 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Check out Dallas Steele at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. That is going to do it for Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will see you all at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Come back.